I'm going to be talking about stuff that's very personal to me today, but I wouldn't be able to make this video without talking about certain subjects such as mental health and religion. If you're not comfortable with that, you do what you got to do, but it's really important to me, and I would love for you to hear my story. So, to get started, I am a member of the LDS Church, or for people who don't know it by that, I am a Mormon. When you grow up in the Mormon Church, it's strongly suggested that you end up going on a mission, and this is a really key and important part of the story, because it's kind of going to divide the story into three distinct parts. Roughly about a month or two before I started my mission, I started One Piece. I knew I wasn't going to finish it by the time that I had left, and was kind of sad about that, but I fell in love with the show almost instantly. I remember watching clear up to the Alabasta arc even before I started, with key moments being really special to me, like when the crew fights Arlong, or it's kind of jumping around, but clear back when Luffy was fighting Buggy, and there was this dog that stood in front of his owner's store, protecting the store. And I wouldn't say that's spoilers because it's super early on, but just they really stood out to me. And the reason why I say this is because I just fell in love with this show. I watched so much of it before I even left. Like I said, even having finished Alabasta. When I started my mission, I was still home for about a month before I left to Boston, which is where I was supposed to go teach, I guess. But I remember very distinctly during that time, I was still watching it while I was preparing to go out, and I remember watching the Skypiea arc and thinking it was absolutely hysterical. I thought it was so funny, and still just falling even deeper in love with the world that Oda had created. And it really was so special, and I would just pour my love all over it with my buddy who had seen it already before, and we just talk about how good it was and how excited he was for me to reach the Water 7 arc, or just to come back and continue watching it. And then I left. I went to Boston, and having it be the first time away from home was really hard. I went into it really bright and starry-eyed. I was really excited to go, but things happen, and I ended up having some pretty traumatic experiences. And it wasn't, I don't want to downplay it. They definitely had such a strong impact on me while I was in Boston. If you've ever seen missionaries walking around, or when they knock at your door, you always see that they come in two. They come in a companionship, and I would say it's mostly for the safety, but that's kind of besides the point. But while I was in Boston, my companion that I was living with had some health problems, specifically epilepsy. And it was about 3 weeks from the first time I had left home for the first time that my companion had a seizure. And that's just not something that you can prepare for. And it really messed me up. I have zero hate for this guy, by the way. I really want to put that out there because I genuinely love this guy. I would consider him to be one of my best friends. But it really had an effect on me, and it had an effect on him too. We weren't able to go out and do our job, pretty much. We would just stay inside, and during that time, really the only source of entertainment that you had being out there was you could go on Facebook, or you can read whatever materials you got. So I went on Facebook, and I remember also distinctly just watching the final fight in Alabasta just over and over again during the time that he was recovering, and just still absolutely loving it. Eventually, I got to a point where I was kind of standing on pins and needles. I started developing just such extreme anxiety and depression, to the point where I would get at max like 2 hours of sleep at night, and that's really hard. And so it got to the point where I ended up having to be sent home early. And if you don't know very much about what happens when you get sent home, it's a very taboo thing in the church, and it's something that I fortunately didn't really go through a lot of issues with. When I got home, I was surrounded by love when I got home, but it's pretty looked down upon, and so that added a lot to my anxiety. And I remember when I got home, I had hit rock bottom. I can't describe to you the pain that I was feeling at that time. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. I felt like a failure. I felt like I had let my friends and my family down. It was just very hard. And when I got home, while I was kind of thinking about what I would do moving forward, I started watching One Piece again. And it just took over once again. When I watched One Piece, it didn't feel like I was in this world anymore. I was a part of the Straw Hat crew. I was their friend, and I was going along on their journey to find the One Piece. And it really helped me a lot. It helped me escape my feelings for a little bit, and to that I am eternally grateful. When I got back, I started the Water 7 arc, and it just continued, and it just kept getting better. I don't want to spoil anything that happens, particularly in the Water 7 arc, but there's a point where one of the characters just declares that they want to live, and that really hit home, because at that time I didn't. I was just so in pain. But when they said that, it was almost as if a switch turned on in my brain. It was really special to me, and it changed pretty much the entire course of my life moving forward. It hasn't been too long since then. It's been roughly about a year and a half later since I watched that. But I'm significantly happier now, and it has helped me immensely. I can't stress that enough. The love that I have for this show, I wouldn't say is incomparable, but I can't even describe it. It was just so helpful to me, working through my problems, working through my differences in life. I still go through a lot of issues to this day. I still have panic attacks all the time. My depressive state has diminished almost entirely. I'm not necessarily sad anymore, but going from not having virtually any anxiety to having it almost dictate my entire life was a very big and difficult change. And it's just having One Piece there beside me as I am learning about myself and about just this world that Oda created. It fills me with joy. It cracks me up. There are times where I'll be listening to We Are, the first opening of the show, in the car, and I'll just belt it out as loud as I can, and I just the only word that I can use to describe it is elated, because man, the biggest smile comes to my face. I love One Piece. It means a lot to me. It's something that I'm very happy to continue. I'm all caught up, so there's the void that happens every week when I watch the show, or when Oda misses a week on the manga, but it well, not misses a week, but when he takes a week break, that hole is there. But it's just such a special show to me, and if anything, I really want to just put out there is that, like, even though it's so long, it's so worth the time that you put into it. I just love it. But anyway, thank you for listening to my story. I appreciate it. It's kind of an abrupt ending, I know, but I can't really think of anything else to say. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. I appreciate it. I put a lot of time into this video, a lot of effort. I did a lot of thinking about how this video would go, and I thought about doing a script, but I don't feel like I could do One Piece justice by a script. I just decided that going straight from the heart would be the move. But yeah, thank you for watching my video. I appreciate it. Much love. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.